How's it going, everyone? Jeff Johnson from the Gazette here with K.J. Pilcher and Jeff Linder. We are here for a Week 6 edition of the Iowa Prep Sports Pick'ems. We got 10 games we're going to look at going up and down the classes, and we'll give you our analysis, our fine analysis of the 10, and pick you a winner. So, guys, how's it going? Week 6. Let's get her underway. It's Thursday, so we got actually a game in Kingston tonight with Jefferson coming and number 2 Cedar Falls coming into town. So, be curious to see if the Jayhawks can hang with the Tigers and give them a game. So, let's move on to our first game. It is in Class 4A. It's a District 4 matchup between Linn-Mar and Iowa City West. Linn-Mar 3-2. Overall, and 1-0 in the district, and Iowa City West 1-4, 1-0. And as we look at this district, which isn't the strongest, I would say, quite frankly, Linn-Mar beat Davenport North last week, 30-7. West surprised Pleasant Valley, I thought, 24-7. This is matching up to be a pretty important game as far as district play goes, and the corresponding playoff berth that goes with it. Who wants to start?
I guess that's me.
Oh, sure.
I guess that's Jeff Linder. What do you think here?
I really don't know. I'm going to pick West. They've played the better schedule, even though Linn-Mar hasn't been, their schedule hasn't been bad either. But I think they had a really impressive win last week over PV, and I do think that the winner of this game wins the district. And I'm going to give a real slight edge to the Trojans.
K.J. Marcus Orr came back and played at quarterback for Linn-Mar last week, and that was a pretty big development, I would say. Would you agree?
Yeah, you just have to look at the effectiveness of their offense, especially the passing game. Marcus Orr comes back and threw for 319 yards. Against Davenport North, who came in, I think, 3-1 last week. 3 TDs, completed 60% of his passes. Linn-Mar had only thrown for 166 yards during his absence. So that was over the course of 2+ games. He's a difference maker for that offense. But that's not where West's Achilles heel on defense has been. It looks like they've given up more on the ground. So they're going to have to free up Bryson White a little bit. If you can mix up that pass and rush attack, usually both benefit from it. Linder brings up a good point that West, their record is 1-4, but they've played a good schedule. But I'm still going to go with Linn-Mar on this one. Mainly because of the Orr factor.
You look at Iowa City West, lost by 7 points to North Scott, lost by 2 points to Southeast Polk, lost by 2 points to Dubuque Senior. So, easily that record could be flipped 4-1 instead of 1-4. Mm-hmm. That being said, I don't know why. I just think Linn-Mar's going down to Iowa City and going to win what might be a pretty high-scoring game. So, I guess 2-1 here. Linder's always right, so I'm sure Pilcher and I are kind of screwed.
You were unbeaten last week.
I did.
Woo! You get the old south wind.
That's right.
I was so close to pick.
Let's move over to the far west side of Cedar Rapids for our next game. Cedar Rapids Prairie 3-2, 1-0 in District 3, hosting Dubuque Hempstead 2-3, 0-1. Hempstead lost to number 2 Cedar Falls last week, 21-17. Prairie outscored Dubuque Senior 43-40 in what must have been a very exciting game. KJ, we'll start with you this time. This should be another very good competitive football game, I would think, right?
You would think. You look at what Prairie was able to do on the ground. They have a nice 1-2 combo with Tariq Amir and Nick Pearson. Pearson rushed the ball 37 times last week.
On the rock, baby.
Yep. Averaged over 10 yards a carry, had 4 touchdowns, finished with 374 yards total. I think they're going to need a similar, not 374 yards from a person, but they're going to need to put up a lot of yards on the ground and really can kind of control things. I don't think we're going to see 80-some points with them in Hempstead, but it's going to be competitive, and I'll be out at Prairie, John Wall Field, and I think Prairie comes away with a victory.
Lindy, Hempstead played Cedar Falls right down to the wire last
Yeah.
week, which is something
Cedar
that
Falls
kind
needed
of
the goal line
eye-opening.
stand to win that game. And, that and the fact Prairie's given up 118 points the last 3 weeks. And that's got to be a big cause of concern. In years past, you wouldn't even bat an eye before saying Prairie over a Dubuque school. But Hempstead's gotten better, seniors gotten better, and, good for them. That said, I still think I'm going to go with Prairie in this one, but nothing would surprise me.
Yeah, I too am going with Prairie, though I do think it'll be a close game and maybe not quite one of those coin flip games, but pretty close to that, I think. Certainly a legit opportunity for either team to win. So we're all agreed on the Hawks in this one. Let's move over to Kingston Stadium for our next game. A couple of District 5 and Class 4A rivals, Cedar Rapids, Washington, and Cedar Rapids, Kennedy. Kennedy is 7th ranked. 4-1 record, 1-0 in the district. Washington 0-5, 0-1. Washington lost to 5th-ranked Bettendorf last week at Kingston, 45-7. Kennedy shut out Davenport West, 64-0. This is always, almost always a barn burner game where either team can win, and it's very spirited. This year might be going into it,
might
one of
be
the most,
spirited.
one of the most. Potentially lopsided games that we've seen in this rivalry for a while, right, guys?
Yeah, Kennedy's a heavy favorite in this, and I don't see any signs pointing toward anything other than, a big Kennedy win.
Pilcher, how'd you do against Kennedy in your 2 years on the varsity at Wash?
We lost twice, actually. Kennedy.
Sorry to bring that up.
Oh, that's all right. And if I remember right, I think I got burned from on one of the touchdowns my senior year. So thanks.
Yeah.
I don't have enough self-confidence issues, JJ. But thanks. No, I appreciate that. I believe that was a Shane Gladwin touchdown reception.
I remember him.
By the way, thanks, JJ. But anyway, there's no reason not to think Kennedy doesn't win this one. Just the one thing with Kennedy that I think outside of the dominant win was they threw for over 200 yards last week. And, maybe that's something to kind of get things going here, between, Davenport West and facing Washington. You got Bettendorf kind of lingering the following week. Hey, if you can work some things out and maybe kind of get some things clicking on that pass game, could be an opportunity for them to kind of hit the ground running against Bettendorf. But
That was kind of a perfect time for them to maybe throw the pass out there and try and improve, right?
Yeah,
against
yeah,
the
exactly.
West team that,
Yep.
you knew you were better than and just maybe try and improve on one aspect of your
Exactly.
game. So.
Exactly.
One thing about Wash, I think better days are coming after this week. They got Davenport Central, Burlington, and Davenport West the last 3 weeks, and I think they should at least be competitive and not victorious in maybe all of those games.
Let's move down to Class 3A for a game that I am really looking forward to. A couple of top 8 ranked teams. 4th ranked Solon is 5-0, 1-0 in District 6, and the Spartans will play at Washington, Iowa. The Demons are technically 4-1, 1-0 in the district. Of course, the loss was actually a forfeit of a game that Washington was well ahead of and inadvertently played a young man who was ineligible for a couple 3 plays. So, this is last week Solon beat Fort Madison 45-7. Washington with an impressive 49-6 win over what I believe was previously unbeaten Keokuk. This should be fun, guys. And I kind of went back and forth on this. I don't know why. I picked Solon, and I'll just let you guys talk about it from here on out.
I picked Solon as well, but Washington's really good, and being at their place, I think they've got a really good chance to win. And but Solon, and they've got the really long regular season winning streak cooking. They did have to come from behind to beat Assumption, but I wouldn't be surprised if Washington pulled off. Would you call it an upset? Maybe not.
Maybe a bit
Mild.
of
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go with Solon.
Last year, these teams played 37-14. Was the margin in favor of Solon? So, KJ, this should be a lot of fun, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I just think Cam Miller is such a difference maker, and you look at what they've been able to do. You mentioned them coming back from behind against Assumption. Assumption's I think they're a really good team. We saw them, even though you said they struggled to score against Xavier, kept that game close as well. It should be a battle of unbeatens. Washington's win over Liberty is kind of an impressive W for them as well. But, Solon's just a little more established. I think they might be a little more dynamic on offense. And they always seem to have good schemes on defense and good linebackers to make plays. So I'm just going to go with Solon in what's probably going to be a really, really close game.
I think Solon's a little bit better on defense than Washington, too.
Yeah.
Let's move on to another game, another beauty here in Class 3A. It is District 5, Iowa City Liberty, 4-1, 1-0 in the district, at number 6, North Scott, 4-1, 1-0. Liberty with a big win last week over Clear Creek Manna, 28-21. North Scott doubled up DeWitt Central, or Central DeWitt, depending on your bent, 21-42, or 42-21. Again, a huge game in this district, guys, and I think, Pilcher, you were out at Liberty last week.
I was out there.
And you saw the Bolts, kind of hang on there for a win over Clear Creek and Manna. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, they actually had to come from behind. They got carved up a little bit by Ryan Navarra in the first half. They were down 21-14, but really took over in the second half. Their defense shut out Clear Creek and Manna the last two quarters. Really impressed with their defense and what they were able to do. Finally getting some turnovers there in the second half. And there's no mistake of what Liberty wants to do. They want to shove the ball right down your throat. That's how they are. They're not afraid to go for it on 4th and 1 too. Jeff Gordon said, "Hey, this is what we do. This is how we are. It's not a surprise." And they're going to keep shoving the rock down. They think that's where they're best. And it was really impressive on the play where they took the lead. They had sustained a drive. It was just Max Tafoya, pounding the ball. They get down, and then they call a perfectly timed play action pass, Woody to Ben Hauslug for a touchdown, and then the 2-point conversion. And I know I'm saying a lot pro-Liberty here, but I just think you're going to need to do a lot more with the passing game. You can't. I don't know if you can beat those top tier teams one-dimensionally. If there's any team that probably could do it might be Liberty, with the way they play defense and can just pound the ball. But I'm going to go with North Scott here just because I think they can do a little bit more.
Jeff, we kind of thought when North Scott dropped down to 3A that the Lancers would be a consistent force in that class, and that's kind of played out exactly that way. And you look at they played 3 4A teams to start in the non-district and won them all. Beat Iowa City West, Pleasant Valley, Davenport Central. The loss was to a great Western Dubuque team. So this is kind of played out as far as North Scott dropping down just like we thought, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd say there's 4 teams in this district, and I think we've talked about that before, that are somewhere between very good and great. You throw Assumption and Clear Creek Amana in that pool too, and every game that you can win against one of those 4 teams is a big step toward making the playoffs and toward a district title. I don't think all 4 are going to make the playoffs. It's just just math that says it's probably not going to happen, even though maybe all 4 are 4 of the best 16 teams in the class. What you said about North Scott is true. I think they're the more, Liberty's still a young pup in this, and North Scott's, they've played a lot of big games the last few years, and I think that experience and the home field, I think North Scott wins a pretty good ball game.
I like North Scott here as well, and I agree with going to be a good ball game thing as well.
With those 4 teams, is this something that could be a revolving results each week, where Team A beats Team B beats Team C beats Team A,
Could be
situation, kind of rotating?
Yeah, because North Scott's they finished with Clear Creek and Assumption weeks 8 and 9, so. We will see our first RPI ratings after week 6 coming up sometime next week. So we'll kind of see where everybody's sitting.
I just want to throw this out there. You talked about the growth of Liberty. Last year, Clear Creek Amana beat them 37-7. This year, Liberty came away with a victory. City High beat them by 17 points last year. Liberty came away with a victory. Last year, North Scott beat them 44-15. We'll see how this growth kind of goes by this result. But Jeff Gordon mentioned after the game, he was really happy for his guys, because last year they took some whippings from people, and people really put it on them, and they had to soak that in for a whole year. So I bet you the 44-15 result gets brought up at practice this week.
Let's go to Class 2A for our next game. We have undefeated and 6th ranked Benton Community, 5-0 overall, 1-0 in District 7, and the Bobcats will travel to Nevada to face the 10th ranked Cubs, 4-1, 1-0. Benton was a 41-0 winner last week over Union LaPorte City, or LaPorte City Union. Nevada came from behind to beat Vinton Shellsburg 28-27. This has really been an impressive first 5 games for Benton, considering the guys that they lost last year, fellas, to graduation, have not missed really a beat at all. And it's become, instead of Matt Davis was the running back last year, if I remember his name correctly. He was kind of the man. It's kind of turned over into what, Clay Krause's team at quarterback this year, right?
It's an air show now, and I think he leads 2A in passing, and with over 1,300 yards, 16 touchdowns, 1 pick.
Yes, sir.
I think a lot depends on what the weather's going to be like over in Central Iowa. I think the weather's supposed to be good Friday, not Saturday, so I think that might be an advantage to Benton. Because Nevada's a little bit more of a ground team. Nevada did rally from a big deficit to beat Vinton Shellsburg last week by a point. But I think Benton's a step better than Nevada or anybody else in that district for that matter this year.
Yeah, I'm going with the Bobcats as well, and I believe Nevada was down 21-0 last week to Vinton Shellsburg and came back to I don't want to say steal that victory, but did get the win. Nevada's only loss is 42-41 to a highly ranked Greene County team. Yeah. So the Cubs certainly are capable, but I am going with Benton, taking that rather long bus ride and to pick up the win. KJ, who you got?
I've got Benton. You mentioned Clay Krause. He's got 2 really good targets. In Jacob Brackton, Turner Schroeder. Both of them have combined for 43 receptions so far, 22 for Breck, 21 for Schroeder.
And look what Blake Osborne does when he does get the ball. Look at his
Yeah.
yards per catch.
Yep, 7 catches for 324 yards, which, thanks to Quick Stats, notes that it's a 46-yard average. But one thing that should be pointed out is their defense. They've got about 5 guys with 4 or more solo tackles for loss. So that tells me that they really go after the ball, play an aggressive style of defense. Quite a few sacks as well, averaging a little over 2 sacks a game. So defensively, they're doing a great job as well, and their margin of victory has been outside of the 33-21 win over Center Point Urbana. It's been 30 points or more. So they're doing it on both sides of the ball.
Let's go down to District 5 in Class 2A for our next game. We have Mount Vernon 2-3, 1-0. At Tipton 3-2, 1-0. This game being played at Tipton City Park. Isn't that right, Lindy? Tipton City Park?
Yeah, I think so.
That's what the schedule says anyway. So I just thought maybe you'd been there before.
I've been there before, but I didn't. Yeah, it's in the city park. I think the field's got is it Diedrichson Field?
I'm not sure on that one. But big game here in District 5. Mount Vernon defeated West Liberty last week, 31-14. Tipton over Comanche, 48-13. Jeff Linder, you think that the winner of this game might very well end up being the one that wins the district,
Yeah,
correct?
I thought that way when Mount Vernon beat West Liberty last week, and West Liberty is a game back now, and if they can continue that with a win over Tipton, I think Mount Vernon probably runs the table, gets to 6-3, wins the district, and gets a first round home game.
You have the Mustangs in this one?
Yeah, I do. Although Tipton's a quality team, but I think Mount Vernon's starting to get some traction, and after their tough start against 4 straight 3A teams, and I think they're really starting to gain some steam, and I think they'll win this game.
I'm with you on that one. I'm picking Mount Vernon. I think it'll be close. Austin Lenz has had a nice season as a running back for Tipton. KJ was able to watch Mount Vernon last week. Kind of pounded the ball quite a bit, or not really pounded the ball, but ran the ball a lot with the sophomore kid, Trent Pitlick, and then went over the top a couple times to great effect for a couple of touchdowns, right?
Yeah, and that's one I thought was kind of interesting, those plays. There were 2 big plays from Brady Ketchum to Noah Erickson, I believe, and it was one of the things that I thought was kind of interesting in the dynamic with the Mustangs. Lance Peterson said it was kind of a team conversation where the players were involved, the assistant coaches, everybody decided, hey, we're going to go trips left so we can isolate Erickson, and boy, those were 2 just absolute beautiful passes that Brady Ketchum dropped in on the fingertips of Erickson, who was starting to pull away from the defender. So well timed, show that Mount Vernon does have the ability to put up the big play. And the one thing that isn't lost on the Mustangs is that game against West Liberty was big, and this game against Tipton is just as big. Because they know the RPI is not going to be their friend after those 3 losses to 3A teams. The class doesn't matter when it comes to the RPI. It's just the record and their opponents' records. So they know just how vital winning the district is, and that win against West Liberty was huge, and they know this one against Tipton is just as big. I think they have the sense of urgency, and it might just be the better team overall anyway.
All right, let's move on to Class 1A for our next game. Doug Jackson Field in Clarence. Where do they play? They play at Stanwood, okay.
Stanwood hasn't given that up yet.
North Cedar, 4-1, 1-0 in the district, hosts Class 4A, or Class 1A, number 4, West Branch, 5-0, 1-0. West Branch defeated Bellevue last week, 52-28. North Cedar, an 8-7 win over Cascade. Jeff, you did a story on the resurgence of the North Cedar Knights here a little bit, huh?
Yeah. 1-8, 3 straight years, and 4-1 this year, 4 straight wins. They've got quite a few seniors who've stuck it out through some pretty lean times, and seeing some fruits of their labor right now. And they're a lot better, but West Branch is West Branch, and I think West Branch still wins this game. It might be, West Branch seems to be kind of a second half team, and this might be a deal where it's, North Cedar's tied or maybe down a touchdown at halftime, but I think West Branch pulls away and wins this one.
West Branch hasn't really totally blown anybody out. Last week was the Bears' biggest or win by the largest margin this season, 24 points over Bellevue. But I think you also have to look at the schedule. West Liberty's a decent team. Walpole is a decent team. Williamsburg, Tipton. So, I do like the Bears here as well. And keeping in mind and appreciating that North Cedar is a really good story. KJ?
No, I'll just echo what you guys have said. Good to see North Cedar turn things around. This is just a different level of opponent right now. You look at what they're able to do. Gavin Harrisman threw for over 300 yards last week. Trey Eagle with a great game. 7 catches, 213 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And, of course, they have another Lukowski there as well, producing for the Bears. It's not David versus Goliath necessarily, but here you have, kind of a year in and year out successful program. I just think they're at another level right now, and hopefully North Cedar can keep climbing.
We'll head down to Class A for our next game. We have third-ranked North Tama, in District 7. Third-ranked North Tama, 5-0, 3-0 at sixth-ranked Grundy Center, also 5-0, 3-0. North Tama defeated East Buchanan last week, 27-6. Grundy Center over Garwin GMG, 55-0. North Tama's had a lot of close games this year, boys, and they've been in a lot of low-scoring games. Grundy Center is coming off 3 straight shutouts, gave up 6 points in the game before that. So first team to 14 wins, maybe?
I'm not sure either team's going to get to 14. Grundy Center's giving up 3.6. North Tama's giving up 3.8. Might be the first team to 6.
Yeah.
North Tama's played a lot of good teams who has been able to grind it out and win. Wapsie and Hudson, and that week 2 win over Lisbon, 14-0. That's looking better and better every week now. They handled East Buck last week. I think it's a coin flip game. I think it's going to be defensive oriented. I think the team that wins is probably the team that makes one less mistake.
Which will be
North
Tama.
I'm going to go North Tama.
I've got Grundy at home. That's all I know. And Jeff's right. It's going to be real low scoring, no doubt about that. I just think when you play a bunch of close games and something. I'm a fatalist, maybe. I just think sometimes you're not going to win every one of them. Let's put it that way. So, going with the Grundy Center Spartans, KJ, who do you have?
Well, they've won every one of them so far.
Yes, they have.
So, I just there's something about the North Tama team that that's really come through. That win over Wapsie, I think, really won me over. Of course, Southwind beat Wapsie last week too, but I just have North Tama in kind of a slugfest. First team to blink is going to end up paying, I think, and it could be as odd as it sounds. Could be a defensive touchdown that makes a difference. Could be a safety, some points, or setting up the offense with a short field off a turnover could actually be the difference in this game. And I'm just going to go with North Tama.
I'll watch it be 40-30.
Yeah, there you go. One more here. We have also Class A. District 5, 9th ranked Edgewood Colesburg, 4-1. 1-0 in the district, plays at Lisbon, 3-2, 1-0. Actually, it won't be at Lisbon, it'll be at Ash Park, right? Lisbon's home field is being redone. So
It's gonna
been
be really
unavailable.
nice next year.
Yeah, for sure. Edco beat Macocota Valley last week in a speaking of defensive games, 14-0, and in another defensive game, Lisbon outlasted Alburnett 14-7. Guys, it's been a nice. Lisbon's a nice story. Won 3 in a row here, and has been competitive, I think, in just about every game. And again, playing without a home field, without a home field to practice on as well. So. The Lions have been able to overcome an awful lot this season. Do they have? Can they overcome a really good Edco team?
I think they can. I'm picking Edco, but we just talked about North Cedar, and Lisbon's kind of the mirror image of what they've done this year. I don't think Lisbon won a game last year, did they?
Boy, I'll have to because they ended a long losing streak with the win over Belle Plaine in week 3. Yeah,
and which is weird because Lisbon's been very successful for the last few years, and but it looks like they've got things turned around. Like we said, they played North Tama close in week 2, and then they knocked off what I think is a good Belle Plaine team, and beat a Highland squad that was, I think, nearly ranked the following week, and then took care of Alburnett last week. Now they've got Edco and MFL, and we'll see where Lisbon's at right now when they play those two teams. I think I'm just going to go Edco. I think they've got an elite defense. They've given up 35 points in 5 games, and 20 of those came against Northland, which is a class up. So I think something like 14-7 or something like that. Edco.
I like Edco here as well for most of the reasons that Jeff said. It's a pretty good football team, and Keegan Ansel's a nice running back with some burst for the Vikings, and an experienced quarterback always helps a kid like Parker Rochford, and he's just a really sound all-around athlete as well. So I like Edco here. KJ, who do you have?
I have Edco as well. Lisbon, spreads the ball around a lot. They have 4 running backs with 25 plus touches, couple over 50. And that's where they're going to be most successful, is if they can get that rush attack established. But Edco, it's interesting to kind of think of Edco as the more established team between these two. Now, after last year and this year, I just think they're a better team at this point, and we'll come away with a win.
All right, our agendas for this weekend. Jeff at Jeff Linder, JT Linder on Twitter. Jeff, you have what tomorrow night?
I've got the Linmar West game. I'm looking forward to it.
And then Saturday, do you have any?
Saturday, I've got Rewind and sprinting off to Ames.
Sprinting off to Ames for the Iowa State should be a good one. At KJ Pilcher, Pilchy, you already told us where you're going tomorrow night.
I will be at Hempstead and Prairie, and I just want to add this. This week usually would be Parker's week picking. Just got his picks. He has Iowa City West instead of Linmar, Hempstead instead of Prairie, and he's got Grundy Center over North Tama this week. So we'll have Parker back again next week as well, but we kind of differ on those 3. And that's all right.
Don't listen to Parker. That's all I can say. Instead of us. So.
I know, right?
Let's see. At JEJE66, I will have. I'm just gonna hold camp at Kingston Stadium this week for the Cedar Falls Jefferson tonight, which would be Thursday night, and then tomorrow night Washington and Kennedy. You think they'll just let me sleep in the press box, KJ? Probably not.
You might be able to throw a little cot in UNASH's little.
Ooh, yeah.
just hang out there.
Just
I think
drop
he'll be
his
fine.
name.
Yep.
If you drop his name,
And
everything's
John
good.
Haggerty.
Yes.
That might go a little further.
Yes, exactly. So
Haggerty's got all kinds of pull there.
yeah, and happy birthday, Coach. I believe he had a birthday either yesterday or the day before. So,
Really?
yeah, I won't tell you how old he was.
Oh, really?
62.
Oh, I thought he was 104.
Okay. Well, that was close.
Yeah.
He just
that's
looks
close.
it.
He
just looks it.
104.
All right, Nathan Ford, thanks for producing as always. Watch our live scoreboard tomorrow night as always at thegazette.com. We'll have a lot of games that we are covering in person. We'll have stories and nuggets and stats and anything you want. It's at thegazette.com. Thanks for joining us for a Week 6 edition of the Iowa Prep Sports Pick'ems, and we will talk at you next week. Thanks.
Keep your head on the swivel.